That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Trade Talk. This time, we'll be returning to a galaxy far, far away and talk about Jason Aaron's Star Wars Volume 6, Out Among the Stars. This is an interesting volume in that when I first started doing comic reviews a couple years ago now, I asked people, hey, what are some books I should read? And someone suggested, oh, Star Wars, the new Marvel series. And that was like, only a couple issues in, 4 or 5, maybe 6 issues in. And I picked it up and I was like, this is well written, but I just don't care. I'm just not super invested in this. I didn't think it was like really, really, really well written. Just didn't grab me. But I've liked the trades. I've liked the ongoing story in the trades quite a bit. But it's just never, I've never wanted to read Star Wars monthly, the main title. This trade, if this was what the book had been doing the whole time, I would have read the shit out of it. You have no clue how all over this book I would have been if this is what the entire series had been. So this trade's a lot of short stories. It's like each chapter is just own self-contained story, the last page of which tells you, like, gives you a preview what's going to happen next issue. And I shouldn't say self-contained, because everything in here is dependent on events that have happened throughout Aaron's run. Like, everything is premised on, well, this is a thing that's been going on with these characters, or this is a thing that the rebellion has been trying to do, or this character was introduced in the book and now he's a threat here. It's all based on that. So it's not like it's completely, you couldn't know anything about Star Wars and the new expanded universe and you just pick this up and be fine. No, you do have to know things. But it's just on its own. It's just these stories that once you know these things, you don't have to know everything about the characters, every little tiny thing that's going on. It's like, okay, Luke and Leia were running away from a TIE fighter, and Luke flew their ship into a nebula to escape it. But that caused the ship to have mechanical failures. They had to land on a uncharted planet on a deserted island. And they had to survive there because they couldn't get their ship up. And so it's just Luke and Leia hanging out, trying to survive in the wild. And that's really cool. They're able to steal some ship from the Empire when they finally show up to try to deal with them and get off planet. Yeah, okay, cool. Solid story. Art looks good. It's all I really got to say. The art looks good. I'll talk a little bit about that more in the Han Solo issue, because that's when I can show you some of the stuff I think, more problems with. I don't know, this image of Luke kind of does it too. Alright, so, like, Luke's face is incredibly detailed to the point where I almost wonder if the artist used a reference photo and was, like, very, very meticulous in capturing Mark Hamill's likeness. Then as you go down the image, things just start to lose a lot of detail, and I feel like I would have rather taken a image of Luke Skywalker that didn't look 100% like Mark Hamill in the face for an image of Luke Skywalker where his hand looked more fully rendered. Just things like that. It's just, it looks a little inconsistent. I can talk about that more when we get to the Han Solo story. But then the next story is about Lando and... what is her name? Lando Calrissian. Sana Starros is Han Solo's apparent wife, estranged wife, I guess. She approaches Lando with a plan, a scam, and she needs his connections to make it happen. So she has this whole elaborate scenario where she's got some space pirates that she's going to sell some weapons to, and then she narcs on the space pirates to the Empire in order to make more money. So she got payment from the space pirates, she got payment from the Empire, and then she got payment from Jabba the friggin' Hutt because she tells him about where the weapons are that these pirates stole, blah, 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 blah. And so she's, conned 3 people into paying her an outrageous sum for these weapons that she has never even fucking had. And by the end of it, she also gets the weapons that she's been selling to 3 different people, and taking Lando along the whole way and just getting him in all kinds of shit. So it's pretty funny. I like this scene where she's in the Empire, or talking to someone from the Empire, and oh, enough of this nonsense. Tell me where to find the guns or your friend dies. Whoa, now let's not. He's not my friend. Shoot him and I won't so much as blink. Hey, point that thing at her and I'll tell you all you need to know. Poor Lando's just caught in the fucking middle of this shit. No idea what to do. It's really good. So that was fun, and again, the art is really solid. And we set up what the Han Solo story is going to be with Gracchus the Hutt, which is cool. I like Gracchus the Hutt. He's probably my new favorite extended universe character for the new EU. But we set up this story with Gracchus the Hutt with Han Solo, and again, this kind of shows what my problem is from the art from a guy by the name of Salvador Larroca. So here was this image of Han Solo, and if you look at the face, that looks like Harrison Ford. I have no doubt in my mind that if I go looking on Google Images, I could probably find an image of Harrison Ford somewhere that looks a lot like that. And that looks like a very unfinished hand in comparison. That hand would be fine in most other comic books, as far as you gotta do what you gotta do, get through the book. It's really weird to juxtapose that with that heavily detailed a face. It just looks really weird. Then the angle on the face doesn't quite match the scene. It's the neck's this way, but the face is this way, which is just an awkward way to hold your head. The neck's forward and the face is off. So there's stuff like that where I'm it looks good, but you can't scrutinize it too much. So I do really like this cover. That's cool. So if you don't know anything about Gracchus the Hutt, he is not like your average Hutt. He is not like Jabba, where he's big and fat, or the other Hutts that you saw in the Clone Wars series. Gracchus is strong. Gracchus lifts, bro. Do you even lift, bro? Because Gracchus lifts, bro. And the rebellion has captured Gracchus from an Imperial prison ship and is transferring him to another site for interrogation on where he keeps weapons stashed so the rebellion can confiscate those and use them. But they need Han Solo to make the transfer to the interrogation area. And Han Solo's there's no way you're putting Gracchus the frickin' Hutt on my ship. And yeah, as they're trying to bicker with each other and get him to this other planet, Gracchus sabotages them a bit while trying to whisper, sweet nothings in Han Solo's ear to try to convince him of things. Try to convince him to betray the rebellion and whatnot. But he also, meddles with their hyperdrive and blah, blah, blah. You're risking your life to take me to jail, but the irony is you're the one who's truly in prison, Han Solo. So he's trying to play on the duality of Han Solo as this former rogue. You must miss it, the life you lived before this, before the rebellion, flying the spaceways as your own man, answerable to no one and nothing but the stars, taking what you wanted when you needed it, or when you wanted it. The greatest smuggler who ever lived. I could give you that life back. Make your problems with Jabba disappear. Make you richer than you have ever dreamed you could be. All you have to do is let me go. Am I the only one imagining like Hannibal Lecter style Anthony Hopkins voicing Gracchus the Hutt? It had to be heavily modulated or something, because Anthony Hopkins has kind of a higher pitched, raspier voice. But man, the way this is like worded, it's very that like meticulous. Hello, Clarice, kind of thing, and I'm really digging it. I feel like I've seen Harrison Ford make this face before. Does anyone else feel like they've seen Harrison Ford make this face before? It's really distracting. So anyway, there's this whole plan, and Gracchus escapes and kills some stormtroopers. He escapes his bonds and kills some stormtroopers who boarded the Falcon, and that was pretty cool. I like this a lot. They see a hut, and they're not intimidated by it physically, but Gracchus is much more intimidating than they realize. Gracchus is not like the other huts. But then that immediately backfires on Han Solo, and Han Solo's, captured and stuff, and looks like he's in trouble, and Gracchus says, everything that I offered you, I'm taking back. Too late, Solo. My offer just expired, and your life will soon follow if you two don't do exactly as I say. Chewbacca, get in the cockpit and set course for Teth. Do it or Solo dies. Teth. You said Teth, right? What's on Teth? Everything I need to get myself back where I belong, back in power. Hurry it up, Wookiee. Take us there as fast as this crate of junk will go. That's probably enough, right? I'm pretty sure that's enough. Solo code 795 level 3. All of a sudden, Gracchus just horribly electrocuted. Because Solo had a plan all along to trick him into revealing the true location of his weapons and resources so that he could ultimately get him, because he knew Gracchus was too tough to crack under interrogation. And yeah, that's the end of that one. I really like that one. That's probably my favorite story in this. And again, I'm such a fan of one and done comics that I just love them to death. That being said, the biggest problem I had reading this is it felt really, really like a long read, because I'd enjoy a story and I'd be digging it in the chapter. Then I get to the end of the chapter and I just kind of feel done and ready to do something else, but I was still only like halfway through the book or whatever. And I was like, man, got a lot more left to read. So I think this is why one and done style stories have kind of lost popularity, because it doesn't read well in trade. I'll fully admit to it. It's one of those things. So, that might be a problem. But I would have loved these when they were coming out. You have no idea how all over this book I would have been if I knew that they were doing one and dones for a whole arc. Anyway, then we go to the continuation from the last volume. In the last volume, C-3PO was captured, and R2-D2 took off on his own to go save him. So this continues that. This is R2-D2's solo mission to rescue C-3PO. I really like the framing device in this story, because R2-D2 is a ridiculously overpowered god droid. So I really like the framing device in this issue, wherein it's the R2 owner's manual. The R2 series astromech is a utility droid designed for starship maintenance, thus it comes with a variety of appendages. I just want to read all the narration out loud. The R2's protocols are all geared toward repair and navigational assistance. Its defensive capabilities are non-existent. Given limited upgrades, the R2 astromech can also be quite adept at interfacing with other computers. Though the R2 unit does not possess the processing power to effectively communicate with the most sophisticated starship computers. The R2 is not an adaptive unit, though given the proper programming, its problem-solving skills can show a marked improvement. The R2 astromech is not a social droid. It is designed to function alone. If your R2 unit begins showing signs of attachment to other droids, A full memory wipe is recommended for proper functionality. The R2 is a repair and navigational droid. It cannot perform full pilot functions. Though it is best to have realistic expectations of its capabilities. Oh wait. If properly maintained, your R2 unit can perform satisfactorily for a number of years, though it is best to have realistic expectations of its capabilities. So again, I like that. This is a really cool framing device. As you see R2-D2 do all this shit, like fucking murder stormtroopers all over the place and set up another droid, an Imperial droid, as if it's the one that's been doing all this. Cool little reference to K2SO's model line. So it does all that, and, you know, it's like, it is not a pilot droid. And yet it's in a dog fight with Darth Vader. Like, that's a really cool framing device, and it's cool to see R2 get, like, an issue just to himself kind of thing, and C-3PO is, of course, annoying. Though I will say, at a certain point, it's like, this kind of becomes one of the problems with the EU, particularly setting it between movies like this. If fucking R2-D2 is pulling tricks on Darth Vader, how impressive a pilot is Darth Vader? Like, can we remember Vader Down for a second, where Darth Vader took out an entire squadron of rebel pilots by himself in his TIE fighter, unprepared for battle at all, and the only reason that his ship was down was because Luke Skywalker himself rammed him? Like, that was an impressive piloting feat. But somehow, R2-D2 manages to outmaneuver Vader long enough for Luke and Han to show up and take Vader by surprise. Like, just... I know Vader got taken by surprise in Episode 4, but it feels ridiculous when anyone can do it. And it's something that you can do again and again. I really don't like that. So this it was a fun idea for an issue, and it had a cool framing device. I think it goes a little too far for me. And then the next one is a story about Scar Squadron and their tactics that they use, and why the stormtrooper that carries a lightsaber thinks the way he does. I really like this scene where you see a kind of like warmonger, like, ruling over some peasants and stuff, and like taking all their food and whatnot. And then Scar Squadron shows up because they're looking for rebels in that sector, and they beat the shit out of the guy, and then when he's down, beat the shit out of him more in front of the locals. So they just became these people's heroes. Never again will you have to worry about tyrants like that. Your village is under our protection now. But to ensure that protection, we require your assistance. There are those in this galaxy who want to destroy our way of life, who want to take away the protection we provide. They call themselves rebels. We call them interplanetary terrorists. We believe this group of radicals currently has a base hidden somewhere within the star system. Now please, my dear new friends, does anyone know where we can find these people? And that's how the Empire figures out where this rebel base is in this system and fucking demolishes it. Goes in, one stormtrooper with the lightsaber kills all these people. Long live the Empire, and just burns the village to the fucking ground, and then leaves the bodies out for the main cast to find, Team Skywalker to find, and they're just having this moment of, can we bury them? No, there might be booby traps. And they just leave a message there. Greetings from Scar Squadron, long live the Empire. It's pretty harsh, and so they just, before they leave, they pile up the bodies and burn them collectively. That's a really solid issue. That like, What's that tactic called? It's not diplomacy. Oh, Rumsfeld and fucking, not Mattis. Oh, what's his name? Not Flynn. Betrayus. Betrayus was a big fan of this outreach and diplomacy style of warfare for soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. You can read soldiers talk about it. They fucking hated it. Nation building style of warfare where they're like, oh, we're gonna help perform or help build bridges between the people so they'll feel the need to fight for themselves and they'll be willing to help us as and not see us as conquerors or whatever. It's a tactic that has some effectiveness. I'll be perfectly honest in admitting. And so it's really cool to see that tactic used by the Empire to go just lay waste to a village or to a outpost of rebels. That was pretty good. I was reasonably impressed by that. That's well written. And then we get Star Wars Annual number 3 called The Sand Provides, in which we see kind of the life of a Tusken Raider child and the way in which his life has been horribly demolished by sand. And Obi-Wan Kenobi does him a favor. Oh, this isn't the annual, sorry. Obi-Wan Kenobi does him a favor and gets him to a new village of sand people. So it's just from the journals of old Ben Kenobi. Okay, thanks, Obi-Wan. That was nice of you. Then there's Star Wars Annual number 3, in which Han and Leia are looking for a planet for a new rebel base. That's been kind of their mission for a while, and I guess this is how we're eventually going to get Hoth. But someone who Han Solo fucked over in the past has caught up with them yet again, just like Sana Starros, and so they're here to kill him, and Princess Leia has to save his ass. That's the story. That's the whole story. And she does. But that is literally the whole story. It's okay. It's not bad or anything. It's just there's not that much to say. But yeah, I kind of like this conversation at the end. Captain Solo, Leia, listen. Look, you saved my neck out there, Leia, and I just want you to know, Han, don't. It's not necessary for you to. Look, Han Solo always pays his debts, okay? So don't you worry about that. You bucket brain. You don't owe me anything, Han. In the Alliance, we don't keep a tally of debts. And we don't blame others when our choices turn out poorly. We make the best of it together. Yeah. You really are something else. You know that, Princess? Oh, you just love high-roading me, don't you? Rubbing my nose and how honorable you all are. Well, no way, sister. Not this time. Square is square, and I'm not going anywhere till we are, whether you like it or not. I like that. That's cute. That's a well-written scene between Han and Leia. I like that she's clearly the smarter of the two and the more intelligent, emotionally intelligent. So that was a cute scene. I also like the art in that issue a lot better. It's just, all right, let me find a good panel of them. A good close-up-ish panel. All right, look. That looks like Han Solo, and that looks like Princess Leia. Do they look like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher? No, but I know which characters they are, and the art looks natural, and it doesn't feel like other parts are more finished than, like, different parts are more finished than others. So that's just good stuff. Yeah. Ultimately, a really fun volume, though. I think I would have liked it more if I just read it when it was coming out, or just read one chapter a day kind of thing. But a fun book, nice one and dones. I can always go for some of those. So, everyone, thank you very much for watching Trade Talk. Hope you had a good time. I will see you later. Bye.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.